through changes through 1,000 years. ओके, एक जोग्राफर है जिनका नाम है अल इद्रीसी जोग्राफर थे. टेक अ लुक एट मैप 1 and 2. Map 1 was made by in 1154 CE by a Arab geographer Al-Idrisi. The section reproduced here is in detail of the Indian subcontinent from his larger map of the world. Map 2 was made in 1720 by a French cartographer. The two maps are quite different even though they are of the same area. In an Al-Idrisi map, South India is where we would expect to find North India, and Sri Lanka is the island at the top. Place names are marked in Arabic. The subcontinent from the early 18th century atlas, now view of Guillaume d'Isle, and there are some well-known names like Kannauj, Uttar Pradesh. Map 2 was made nearly 600 years from Map 1. During this period, information about the subcontinent has changed considerably. This map seems more familiar to us, and the coastal areas in the particular are surprisingly detailed. The map was used by the European sailors and the merchants on their voyages. Look at the areas in the interior of the subcontinent on Map 2. Are they as detailed as those on the coast? Although the course of the river Ganga, and see how it is shown. What do you think? There is a difference in the level of detail and accuracy between the coastal and the inland areas in the map. Equally important is the fact that the science of the cartography differed into two periods. When historians read document map text from the past, they have to be sensitive into the different historical backgrounds and the context in which the information about the past was produced. New and old terminology. If the context in which the information is produced changes with time, in what about language and the meaning, historical record exists in a variety of language which have changed considerably over the year. Medieval Persian, and for example, is different from the modern Persian. The difference is not just with regard to grammar and vocabulary. The meaning of word also changes with time. Take the term Hindustan, for example. Today we understand it as India, and the modern Indian state. When the term was used in the 13th century by the Minhaj-e-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian. Minhaj-e-Siraj, जिन्होंने पर्शिया में लिखा था. He meant that the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the land between the Ganga and Yamuna. He used the term in a political sense for the land that are a part of the dominance of the Delhi Sultan. The area included in this term shifted with the extent of the Sultanate, but the term never included South India. By contrast, in early 16th century, Baba used Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. Babar used Hindustan to describe geography, यहाँ का fauna, culture. Or as we will see later in this chapter, so this was somewhat similar to the way the 14th century poet Amir Khusrau used the word. 14th century के एक poet थे जिनका नाम था आमिर खुसरो. He used the word Hind. While the idea of the geographical and cultural entity like India did exist, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meaning which we associate with it today. Historians today have to be very careful about the term they use because they meant different things in the past. Take for example a simpler term like foreigner. It is used today to mean someone who is not an Indian. In the medieval period, a foreigner was any stranger who appeared, say in a given village, someone who was not part of the society or culture. In Hindi, the term Pardesi might be used to describe such a person, and in Persian, Ajnabi. A city dweller therefore might have regarded as a forest dweller, regarded foreigner as foreigner, but two peasants living in the same village were not foreigners to each other, even though they may have had different religions or the caste background. Historians and their sources. Historians use different types of sources to learn about the past depending upon the period of their study and the nature of their investigation. Last year, for example, you read about the rulers of the Gupta dynasty and Harshvardhana. In this book, we'll read about the 14,000th year from roughly 700 to 750. You will notice some continuity in the sources used by historians for the study of this period. They still rely on coins, inscription, architecture and textual record for information, but there is also considerable discontinuity. The number and variety of textual record increased dramatically during this period. This slowly displays other types of the available information. Through this period, paper gradually become cheaper and more widely available. People used it to write holy text, chronicles of ruler letters and teachings of the saint, petition and the judicial record, and for registers of account and taxes. Manuscripts were collected by the wealthy people, the rulers, monasteries and the temple. They were placed in libraries and archives. These manuscripts and documents provide a lot of detailed information to historians, but they are also difficult to use. Archive, a place where the document and manuscripts are stored. Today, all the national and the state governments have archives where they keep all their old official records in the transaction. There was no printing press in those days, so scribes copy manuscript by hand. If you have ever copied a friend's homework, you would know that this is not a simple exercise. Sometimes you cannot read your friend's handwriting and are forced to guess what is written. As a result, there are small but significant differences in your copy of your friend's work. Manuscript copying is somewhat similar. As the scribe copy manuscript, the scribes copied manuscript. They also introduced small changes. A word and here a sentence here. This is a small difference due over centuries of copying until manuscript. A painting of a scribe. This is a painting of a scribe making a copy of manuscript. This painting is only 10.5 cm by 7.1 cm in size. Because of its size, it is called as a miniature. Miniature paintings were sometimes used to illustrate the text of the manuscript. They were so beautiful that later collectors often took the manuscript apart and sold just the miniatures. Different kinds of handwriting could make the reading of the Persian Arabic difficult. The nastaliq style on the left is cursive and easy to read, and shikhed on the right, shikhaste is denser and more difficult. Same text because substantially different from one another. There is a serious problem because we rarely find the original manuscript of the author today. We are totally independent upon the copies made by the later scribes. Historians have to read different manuscript versions of the same text to guess what the author had originally written. On occasion, authors revised their chronicles at different times. The 14th century chronicle Jiyauddin Brahmani wrote his chronicle first in 1356 and another version 2 years later. The two differed from each other, but historians did not know about the existence of the first version until the 1960s. It remained lost in the large library collection. New social Jiyauddin Brahmani 14th century. Jiyauddin Brahmani कब के थे 14th century में, मतलब 1300 के आसपास. New social and the political group. The 30 of the 1000 years between the 700 and 750 is a huge challenge to historians, largely because of the scale and the variety of the development that occurred over the period. At different moments in this period, new technologies made their appearance, like the Persian wheel in irrigation, spinning wheel in weaving, firearms in combat, Persian wheel, spinning wheel. New foods in the beverages are in the second potato, corn, chili, tea, coffee, corn, chili, tea, coffee, potato. Even with all this innovation, new technology and the crop came along with the people who brought other ideas with them as well. As a result, this was a period of economic, political, social and the cultural changes. This time besides change over there. This was a period of great mobility. Groups of the people traveled long distance in search of opportunity. The subcontinent had immense wealth and the possibility for people to carve a fortune. One group of people who became important in this period were the Rajput, a name derived from the Rajputra, the son of a ruler. Between the 8th and the 14th century, the term was applied more generally to a group of warriors who claimed Kshatriya caste status. The term included not just the ruler and the chieftain, but also soldiers and commanders who served in the 8 armies of different monarchs all over the subcontinent. A chivalry code of conduct, extreme valor, and great sense of loyalty. Chivalric valor, sense of loyalty were the qualities attributed to Rajput by their portray in the part. Other group of people such as Marathas, Sikh, Jat, Ahom, and Kayas, a state of scribe, a caste of scribe and secretaries. Kayast, Kayast was a caste of scribe and secretary. Only used the opportunity of the age to become politically important. The secretary there. Throughout this period, there was a gradual clearing of forests and the extension of the agriculture. Habitat refers to the environment in a region and the social and the economic lifestyle of its resident. Environment of a region, social and economic lifestyle. Environment, social and economic lifestyle. Throughout this period, there was a gradual clearing of the forest and extension of agriculture. A change faster and more complete in some areas than in others. Changes in their habitat forced many foresters to migrate. Others started tilling their land and became peasants. Throughout this period, there was a gradual clearing of forest, extension of agriculture, change faster and more complete in some areas. Then another change in their habitat forced many foresters to migrate. Others started tilling the land and became peasants. These new peasant group gradually began to be influenced by the regional market, the chieftain, and the priests, monasteries, and the temple. They become a part of the large complex society and were required to pay taxes and other complex society apartment can go tax pay करना था and goods and service to local lord. As a result, significant economic and social difference emerged among the peasant. Economic and social differences. Some possessed more productive land, others also kept cattle, and some contributed artisanal work with agricultural activity during the lean season. As society became more differentiated, people were grouped into the jatis or subcastes and ranked on the basis of their background and their occupation. Ranks were not fixed permanently and varied according to the power, influence, and resources controlled by the members of the jati. The status of the same jati could vary from area to area. The jatis framed their rules, regulation to manage the conduct of the member. These regulations were enforced by an assembly of elders described in some areas as jati panchayat. But jatis were also required to follow the rules of the jatis were also required to follow the rules of their villages. Several villages were governed by the chiefs, and together they were all only one small unit of a state. Region and the empire, larger states like those of the Cholas, Tughlaq or Mughals encompass many regions. A Sanskrit Prashasti, see chapter 2 for example, Prashasti praising the Delhi Sultan Ghiyasuddin Balban. 1266-1287 explained that he was the ruler of a vast empire that stretched from the Bengal God in the east to the Ghazni in the Afghanistan in the west, included all the South India, Dravida people of different regions, Gauda, Andhra Pradesh, Gauda, Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Gujarat apparently fled before his armies. People of different regions, Gauda, Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Gujarat apparently fled before his armies. His provinces of the Delhi Sultanate during Muhammad Tughlaq's reign, according to the Egyptian source, एक इजिप्शियन सोर्स है जिसका नाम है मसालिक अल अब्सर फी ममालिक अल अम्सर ऑफ सिहाबुद्दीन उमारी. ओके, सिविस्तान, ऊज, मुल्तान, कालानौर, लाहौर, समाना. सिविस्तान, ऊज, मुल्तान, कालानौर. फोर्थ क्या है? कालानौर. फिफ्थ है लाहौर. कालानौर, लाहौर. चलो टीवी में देखते हैं नीचे. Regarded them as exaggerated claims of the concept. At the same time, they tried to understand why rulers kept claiming to have control of different parts of the subcontinent. Language region. In that region, the poet Amir Khusrau noted there was a different language in every region of this land. Sindhi, Lahori, Kashmiri, Dwar Samudhi in southern Karnataka, Telangani in Andhra Pradesh, Gujari in Gujarat, Gujari, Mawari in Tamil Nadu, Gauri in Bengal, Abdi in eastern Uttar Pradesh, and Dawi in the area around Delhi. So, Amir Khusrau went on to explain that in contrast to these languages, there was Sanskrit which did not belong to any region. It was an old language and common people did not know it, only the Brahmins do. Make a list of the language mentioned by the Amir Khusrau, prepare another list of the names of the language spoken today in the region he mentioned. By 700, many regions already possessed distinct geographical dimension and their own language and cultural characteristics. By 700, many regions already possessed distinct geographical dimension and their own language and cultural characteristics. They were also associated with a specific ruling dynasty. There was considerable conflict between these states. Occasionally, dynasties like the Chola, Khilji, Tughlaq, Mughals were able to build an empire that was pan-regional, spanning diverse regions. Not all these empires were equally stable or successful. When the Mughal Empire declined in the 18th century, it led to the reemergence of the regional state, but years of imperial pan-regional rule had altered the characters of this region across most of the subcontinent, and the region were left with the legacies of the big and the small state that ruled over them. This was apparent in the emergence of many distinct and shared traditions in the realm of governance and management of the economy, allied culture and language. Through the 1,000 years, between 700 and 750, the characters of the different regions did not grow in isolation. These regions felt the impact of the later pan-regional forces of integration without ever quite losing their distinctiveness. Old and new religion. The 1,000 years of history that we are exploring, witnessing major development in religion as religious tradition. People's belief in the divine was sometimes deeply personal, but more usually it was collective. 1,000 years of history that we are exploring witness major development in religious tradition. People believe in the divine was sometimes deeply personal, but more usually it was collective. Collective belief in a supernatural agency. Religion was often closely connected with the social, economic organization of local community. As the social world of these groups altered, so too did their belief. It was during this period that important changes occurred in what we call Hinduism today. These included the worship of nudity, the construction of the temple by royalty, and the growing importance of the Brahmin, the priests, as dominant groups in society. Their knowledge of Sanskrit text earned the Brahmin a lot of respect in society. Their dominant position was consolidated by the support of their patron, new rulers searching for prestige. Each an influential, wealthy individual who supports another person, an artist, craft person, a learnman, or noble. Their knowledge of Sanskrit texts earned the Brahmins a lot of respect in society. Their dominant position was considered by the support of the patron new ruler. One of the major developments of this period was the emergence of the idea of bhakti, of a loving personality that devotees could reach without the aid of the priest or elaborate rituals. This was also the period when new religion appeared in the subcontinent. Merchants and the migrant first brought the teaching of the Holy Quran to India in the 7th century. Muslims regarded the Quran as their holy book and accept the sovereignty of the one God, Allah, whose love, mercy, and bounty embrace all those who believe in Him without regard to social background. Many rulers were patrons of the Islam and the ulama. Many rulers they were patrons of Islam and the ulama, the learned theologians and jurists. And like Hinduism, Islam was interpreted in a variety of ways by its followers. They were Shia Muslims who believe in the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law Ali, who was legitimate leader of the Muslim community, and Sunni Muslims who accepted the authority of the Ali leader Khalifas of the community and the succeeding Khalifas. There were other important differences between the various schools of law, Hanafi and Shafi mainly in India, and in theology and mystic tradition. Thinking about time and history, historical period. Historians do not see time just as the passing of hours, days, or year as a clock or a calendar. The time also reflects the changes in the social and the economic organization, in the persistent transformation of ideas and belief. The study of the time is made somewhat easier by dividing the past into larger segment periods that possess a shared characteristic. In the middle of the 19th century, British historians divided the history of the India into three periods: Hindu, Muslim, and the British. This division was based on the idea that the religion of the ruler was only important and historical, that the religion of ruler was the only important historical change, and that there were no other significant development in the economy, society, or the culture. Such a division also ignored the rich diversity of the subcontinent. Few historians follow the periodization, and today most look to economic and social factors to characterize the major elements of the different moments of the past. These look to economic and social factor. The stories you read last year included a wide range of early societies: the hunter-gatherer, early farmer people living in towns, villages, and early empires and the kingdom. These histories you will be studying this year are often described as medieval. You will find out more about the spread of the peasant society, the rise of the regional and imperial state formation, sometimes at the cost of the pastoral and the forest people, the development of the Hinduism and Islam as major religion, and the arrival of European trading companies. More about the spread of the peasant society, rise of regional and imperial state formation. Pastoral and forest. These 1,000 years of Indian history witnessed considerable change. After all, the 16th and the 18th century were quite different from those of the 8 or 11. Therefore, describing the entire period as one historical unit, it is not without its problem. Moreover, the medieval period is often contrasted with the modern period. Modernity carries with it a sense of material progress and intellectual advancement. This seemed to suggest that the medieval period was lacking in any change whatsoever, but of course we know this was not the case. During these 1,000 years, the societies of the subcontinent were transformed, often and economies in several regions. Society transformed economy in several regions reached a level of prosperity. Society transformed economy, prosperity that attracted the interest of the European trading companies. As you read this book, look out for signs of change and the historical process at work. Also, whenever you can, compare what you read in the book with what you read last year. Look out for the changes and contributes where you can, and look at the world around you to see what else has changed or remained the same. Thank you.